Sri Lalita Sahasranama, 667, Nirdvaita, without the sense of duality, Dvaita Varjita, beyond duality, Anada, giver of sustenance and nourishment to the living things, Vasuda, giver of wealth, Vrda, who's ancient, Brahmatmakya Svarupani, whose nature unites the absolute and the field of consciousness, Brahati, who's immense, Brahmani, predominantly sephitic, Brahmi, presiding over speech, Brahma Ananda, who is immersed in the bliss of the absolute, Bale Priya, who's fond of the sacrificial offerings, Basha Rupa, whose form is language, Barhatsena, who has a vast army, Bhava Vivarjita, who's beyond being and non-being, Sukaradya, easily worshipped, Subakari, who does good, Sobana Sulabhagate, who's attained through the bright and easy path, Raja Rajasvari, who rules the kings and emperors, Rajyadayini, who gives dominion, Rajavalabha, who protects dominions, Rajatkripa, who has compassion that captivates all, Rajapita Nivasita Nijastrita, who establishes the royal thrones of those that take refuge in her, Raja Lakshmi, who embodies the prosperity, Kosanatha, mistress of the treasury, Katuranga Balasvari, who commands the armies of four types, or you could say the four aggregates, Samrajyadayini, bestower of imperial dominion, Satyasanda, who's devoted to truth, Sagaramakala, who's girdled by the oceans. You could also say who is rich in the wet things. Dikshita, who's under a vow. Daitya Samani, who destroys the wicked forces. Sarvaloka Vasankari, who keeps the worlds under her control. Sarvartha Datri, who grants all the desires. And the four ends of life are Dharma, the ethical way, Artha, wealth, Kama, sensory desires and moksha, liberation. 699. Savitri, who is a creative power in the universe. Sat Chid Ananda Rupeni, whose form is existence, consciousness, and bliss. Dasakala Parichena, who's not limited by time or space, and not measured by time and space. Sarvaga, pervades all the worlds. Sarva Mohini, who deludes all. Well, allows entities their choice, whether they're going to fall into delusion because of their separation with the real sense. So, giving the option, you could say. Sarasvati, who shows the way for all the eyes, having a knowledge form. So, lake possessing. Sastramayi, whose form is the scriptures. Guhamba, she who dwells in the cave of the heart. Guhya Urupeni, who has a secret form. Sarvopadevinirmukta, who's free from limitations. Sadasiva Pativrata, who is the devoted wife to Sadasiva. So again, we're referring to different sides. And we can refer back to mantra 39. Kama sajnata saubhagyamardavorudvayanvita. 710. Sampradayasvari, guardian of sacred traditions. Sadhu, possessing equanimity. Guru, okay, so E is listed as the real nature of light as a syllable. Okay. 713. Guru Mandala Rupene, who embodies herself in the line of the spiritual teachers. Kulotirna, transcending the senses. Bhagaradya, worshipped in the sun disk. Maya, who there's illusion about, you could say. Or you could say that the marvelousness of deity is such an extent that it's as if it's illusion. Madhumati, who's offered honey and intoxicants. Mahi. Okay, well, that's the name of the sacred river. And so basically, whenever we refer to that, it's the earth itself that is seen as a name of deity. But of course, deity isn't the earth or the creation or whatever. It's just, like some people think blood is the name of God. And in certain contexts, you could say that, but it gets kind of confusing, right? Ganamba, who is the mother of attendants. Again, remember that family language stuff. Guhyakaradya, worshipped by the Guhyakas. So the secret beings, which happens to be one of the words that you can translate jinn as, a phrase. Komalangi, with beautiful limbs. Guru Preya, who's beloved of those who bring from darkness into light. And you could say also who's fond of those enlightening figures. Svatantra, free from limitations. So you could say self-dependent. Sarvatantrasi, who is over all the tantras. And typically they think of the 64 tantras. Dakshinamurte Rupeni, who's in the form of the south entity. Sanakare Samaradya, who's worshipped by such individuals like Sanaka. Sevajnana Pradayani, who's bestowing the knowledge of the auspicious one. Chitkala, whose part is consciousness. Ananda Kalika, who's in the blissful bud. Prema Rupa, whose form is the purity of love. Preyankari, who grants what's near or dear to devotees. So who fulfills desires. Nama Parayana Krita, who's pleased by repetitive mention or names. And Nandavidya, who's worshipped by scriptural mantras. Natasvari, who is the Lady of Dance. Mithya Jagad Adishthana, who's the basis of the illusory universe. Well, we can say that reality is the base. And it's reality that people end up having illusions and delusions about. But, that's, again, as mentioned earlier, a choice that some people are going to take on. Mukteda, giver of liberation. Mukte Rupeni, whose form is liberation. Lasya Preya, who's fond of the Lasya dance. Leya Kari, who causes absorption. Laja, who has a modest existence. through the living beings. Rambade Vandita, who is adorned by the celestial entities. Ramba, what does that mean? Ramba, adorned. Bhava Dava Sudha Vrshte, who is the nectar-filled rain that falls on the forest fire of the worldly existence. Well, it's nicer than calling things fire, isn't it? Paparanya Davanala, who's like a wildfire to the sinful forest. Daurbagya Tula Vatula, who's the gale that drives away the cotton of misfortune. So the gale of cotton. Jaradvanta Rave Prabha, the sunlight that dispels old age's darkness. Some people actually get better at learning and stuff like this at some point when they get older. It's like there's some sort of break, something that stops working, and then what's left works better. Or, something to that effect, right? I mean, don't rely on it. That's going to be the case. Just do your best with what you got, but, Bhagyabde Chandrika, who's as the full moon to the good fortune ocean. Bhakta Chitta Keke Gana, the gladdening cloud of the peacocks, who are as hearts of the devotees. Or the hearts of the devotees are like peacocks, and this cloud comes to gladden them. Roga Parvata Dambole, the thunderbolt that shatters the diseased mountain. Martyudaru Kutareka, the axe that cuts down the death tree. And, people did use numerology back then, so there are certain numbers that are connected to things, and the order of some mantras, like this one, 749, may have been chosen because of its number. Daru relates to 28. Mahesvari, festival, controlling entity. Mahakali, greater than time, the great time. Mahagrasa, devouring all that's great, the great devourer. Mahasana, eats all that's great. Aparna, owing no debt. Chandika, anger. Chandamunda Suraneshudeni, who killed Chanda, Munda, and other asuras. Asuras is a more generic name for the jinn. One of the other names we were talking about kind of got into that. So we have different entities like Devas, Yakshas, Kanaras, Gandharvas, Kimpurushas, Guhyakas. I think there's 10 listed But Devi and Asura would be the wider list, right? 757. Kasharatmika, who's in the form, well, whose form is the perishable and the imperishable field of consciousness. So we have, okay, what's another way to translate this? We have the diverse, okay, diverse field of consciousness. Sarvalokasi, ruler of worlds. Visvadarini, universe supporter. Trivargadatri, 3 goals of life are bestowed. Subhaga, seat of prosperity. Turyambaka, 3-eyed. Trigunatmika, essence of the 3 modes, goodness, passion, darkness, or truth, kingly, and ignorance. Svarga Pavargada, bestowing heaven and liberation. It's interesting to think of them as different things, right? And heaven worlds, you could say, would be the better thought, because I think even they kind of got the thing that the sky and the realms of the spiritual entities and stuff weren't necessarily the same thing. You know what I mean? You can't go up and down to go heaven and hell, and that's just it, right? There's more to it than that. Suddha, the purest. Japa Pushpa Nibakrete, the hibiscus body, flower-like. So, whose body is like a hibiscus flower. Ojovati, full of vitality. Dyutedara, full of light and splendor, are emitting a light and splendor. Yajna Rupa, the sacrifice, is a form belonging to. Remember all those names in the Bible with yah endings and al endings? Well, it's the same principle when you hear that rupa at the end of it. Priyavrata, fond of vows. Duraradya, who's difficult to worship. In Arabic they have the word jihad, and that word is you're doing something when it's not the easiest thing to do. You're struggling, you're striving. Fisabilillah, in the way of God. It's just not in the name of deity. It's got to be, the people can do anything in the name of, or not do anything in the name of, and that's certainly a stage, but you got to have the right beliefs, the right actions to back that up, because it's not the way of God just because you've just decided, oh, I'm going to dedicate this to God. No, you have to dedicate, 772. Duradarsha, who's difficult to control. In the Bhagavatam Purana, there's a teaching about how, I think it's in the 4th canto. Is it the 4th or is it the 3rd canto? Basically, don't think that just because you did these rituals that God's going to take your side on this, Patali Kusuma Preya, who's fond of the pale red trumpet flower. Mahati, who's great. Maruneleya, residing in the Meru Mountain. Mandara Kusuma Preya, who's fond of the celestial wish-fulfilling tree. You could also say who's fond of the white arca flower. Oh, I don't want to say anything medical on this channel, but, you know, I think that's one of those flowers. Viraradya, who's worshipped by heroes.